welcome back to Opal Deco. Today we are doing another flower preservation video, and in our previous flower preservation videos we usually keep the background of the piece clear, and it would be something like this. We're casting a heart, by the way, and we're going to be casting some roses in it, and we usually keep the background clear so you can see through it, but today we are going to be playing around with some color backgrounds, and this is the piece that we will be making. It has a light pink background, and I will show you how I make the piece, and then we'll take a closer look at the heart. Let's get started. Here is our heart mold. It's from AHA Molds. She is my favorite mold maker for flower preservation molds. Look at how lovely this heart is. And the final heart piece will stand on its own when you place it sideways. You'll be able to find the link to her molds in the description of this video. For the resin, we're going to use Total Boat's high performance resin, the slow hardener version. This is for the first layer only. You'll be able to find a discount code for the resin in the description. We're creating this heart facing up, so the first layer will be the background color. To create the light pink background color, we are using pastel pink acrylic paint from Michaels, and we're mixing in some white diamond effect mica powder from Black Diamond Pigments. This will give us the light pink color with a little bit of shimmer. We're going to pour this into the mold as the first layer and set it aside. Use a heat gun to pop the bubbles at the surface if needed. At the same time, we are going to mix up some Total Boat thickset Fathom resin. This is their casting resin that allows you to pour up to 3 inches deep. I mix this resin with a scale, by weight, and in grams. I find the ratio for measuring by weight on the instructions that comes with the resin. You can also measure by volume, it's 2:1, but I prefer weight as it's more accurate. I've also have numbers on the measuring cups be off before, so this is safer for me. I am only mixing a little bit because for the second layer, we will pour a layer just enough to hold down the flowers. Again, I am mixing this right after I just poured the pink background because I know the work time and the cure times for the different resins. The high performance resin cures in 5 to 6 hours for me, and the thickset Fathom resin has at least a 12-hour work time. And this is in room temperature. So by the time I'm ready to pour the thickset casting resin, the pink layer would have hardened completely. Let me tell you 2 tips to reduce bubbles when I work with the thickset Fathom resin. First, I use a silicone mixing spatula. Wood is porous and introduces a lot of bubbles in the resin, so I've switched to the silicone mixing tools and the blue plastic stick you've seen me use in other videos. I find that the wider spatula also fully mixes the 2 parts faster. 2, I come back every 45 minutes to an hour to just wave the heat gun over the mixture and around the container, like I am doing now. The thickset is pretty good at releasing bubbles, but I do get better results if I go back and check on it every hour. Working with the thickset Fathom resin is pretty much a whole day thing if you want near perfect results. Back to the piece. This is about 6 hours later, and the pink layer has fully cured. And I realized I poured too thick of a layer because you see the little ripples? That's actually some texture on the surface that's caused by a little bit of exothermic reaction, because the maximum pour depth of the high performance resin is only 1/4 inch deep. I couldn't really gauge how deep I was pouring, so the ripples are telling me that I poured too much. Next time I'll have to pour a thinner layer. But anyways, we can go ahead and pour the second layer with our pre-mixed thickset Fathom and place our flowers. You can see that our resin has thickened from when we first mixed it. As I mentioned before, the thickset Fathom has a 12-hour work time. Now, different work environments will cause this to vary, the work time and the cure time. I work at room temperature, so if your studio is cooler or warmer, you'll have to adjust. Cooler temperatures will lead to a longer cure time, and warmer temperatures will lead to a shorter cure time. But for me, the 12-hour work time is my experience, At about 6 hours, it begins to thicken up until the 12th hour. It has a honey-like consistency. I leave each layer overnight, and that's about 24 hours from when we first mix the resin. That's when it's completely gel, where I wouldn't move anything around anymore, but I can still heat it up to loosen the resin and pick out any dust that falls into the piece if needed. Now, all these specific hours depends on how thick the layer of resin you're pouring is too. Thicker layer, faster cure time. Thinner layer, longer cure time. That's just some things to note when working with resin in general. Once we're done with the flower placement, I like to fill some resin into the center of the roses to help with the bubbles in future layers. It'll act as a seal for the roses, and since it's a thin coat on the flowers, the bubbles released from these will generally pop on its own. Now for the third layer, this is about 36 hours later. I had mixed up the thickset Fathom resin 10 to 12 hours beforehand, and we're going to fill up half of the remaining mold. Flowers tend to release a lot of bubbles, and you can already see that as I am pouring into the mold. We'll pop these bubbles with a heat gun, but we'll definitely have more show up, so we'll have to babysit this for a couple of hours, at least until the work time of the resin. Even then, more bubbles can show up as it cures overnight. Another 24 hours later, we found some bubbles on the surface. We'll open up these bubbles with a toothpick or a stick here, and then we'll fill up the mold with more resin, the Total Boat Thickset Fathom resin again. You see the bubble on the rose, the one that we opened up? Use the stick again to work the resin into the bubble and fill it in. Don't forget to come back and check the piece every now and then to pop any bubbles that rise to the surface. For the final layer, I let it fully cure for 48 hours at least. Now we can demold it. Be careful when demolding these blocks since the block molds are kind of expensive. If your piece is not completely at the top of the mold, you risk scratching the mold. We're okay here, but just something to note. I like to demold these blocks like so, with the piece facing the bottom, because it's easier to push the piece down instead of up. Once I get the piece out of the mold all around, I begin to carefully pull out the piece. This side view of this heart looks interesting with the pink and the flowers. The pink is such a pretty color too, especially for roses. Look at how pretty the flowers are in the front view. It definitely gives a different vibe compared to doing clear blocks. It looks like love to me with the pink and the red. How does this heart make you feel? Here is the completed heart. I did a top coat for this block off camera to complete the piece and to make it extra shiny. The lighting also shows the roses a little better here. This is just an indoor daylight setting. If you need any tips or tricks for top coating, you can check out the top coating tutorial on my channel. Here's the side view of the heart, and it looks pretty nice too since the flowers are placed at an angle. Now let's compare this heart to the clear one. I know they're different flowers, but let me know which one you prefer in the comments. Thank you for watching this flower preservation tutorial. If you enjoyed making this heart with me, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or feedback, leave it in the comments below. I'll see you next time.